shot to do what?
Oh my God, Trendsetter, is that actually you? Oh my God, how long it's been. I've missed doing this show. What's going on? You're watching the HSP Podcast here on the Give Us a Shot Network. I'm Jeff Martin alongside the Trendsetter, my tag team partner, Bryan Berga. We are the Jersey Wrecking Crew, and you can tell that things are new and things are brewing here on the Give Us a Shot Network. We got new logos. We got new backdrops. We're all excited here the first time we're going to test this out. Trendsetter. They can follow us on our social media at HSP Podcast, and then they can like and subscribe right here and make sure they hit that subscription notice that they never miss a single episode of HSP on Gives a Shot. I'm a year older. I might be a little rusty, so I'm going to ask you, Trendsetter, to get me through this one today. Lots to discuss, but still, here we come to you, the crew, with a very brand new episode as the summer is dwindling.
Don't say
here
that
for us.
Don't say that, man.
And just a very bittersweet episode because we're going to enter Labor Day, and that's it, Trendsetter. Back to the fall, back to the winter, back to the pumpkin spice at Starbucks, which I personally don't like. But alas, Trendsetter, we head into the fall season. How you doing, man?
I feel like I've been going through labor right now with all the stuff we've been doing the last couple of weeks, though. Good, man. Good to have you back on here. Ready to talk about so much that's been going on that we just haven't had a chance to. But we've been staying alive on social media, so all the members of the crew have been following us. Jeff's done an amazing job on our Instagram, on HSP Podcast plus HSP Media on Instagram. Guys, give it a like, check out everything we do on there. Please, we love the support. So we've been active there. We just haven't had time to do an episode right now. Back to the grind of things because, like you said, bittersweet to say. Summer's over. I'm not going to say almost. It is over, man. But excited to do this, man. So much to talk about, Jeff. Where do you want to start?
Well, I mean, man, there's so much stuff that we have to get to. We're going to try to squeeze it into the show for you guys. We wanted good luck, right? So we'll see what we're going to do here. But I guess everything from WWE signing new deals to rumors about Chris Jericho possibly coming back to Clash in Paris, which is coming up. But I guess the thing that we need to discuss, and I really wanted to come on here when it happened, but I guess the good thing about that is that as more information comes about, we talk about this incident that happened at Knokx Pro Wrestling over the past weekend between Rampage Jackson's son, Raja, and one of the wrestlers. And, also, too, I'm glad that I got to proofread stuff because the way they spelled the poor wrestler that got beat up and hurt, whatever like that, they really messed up his name, and I wrote it wrong. And I was able to. I'm glad that even before we came in, I was able to proofread it. It's a psycho or sicko stew. It's not somebody in a major news company wrote it wrong, and I wrote was there, and I need to back check stuff. So I'm glad I did not read it. I had it in Skyo stew, which is amazingly that they could mess that up. But let's talk about that, Trendsetter. Let's talk about what happened over the past week. And of course, the videos out there, you guys obviously have seen it now, especially the wrestling fans of what happened. Even the non-wrestling fans are talking about this because of just the craziness that ensued. And again, obviously the thing now in WWE and, a little bit in AEW is to bring people from the outside. It's always been about let's bring people from the outside into the wrestling business. Obviously, the latest from WWE has been, Travis Scott, and then also Jelly Roll, which is obviously you've had the best of both. You have the good and the bad, which is Jelly Roll, who had an outstanding performance at SummerSlam. And then you have Travis Scott, who basically is going to live in infamy for one of the most important, matches, John Cena winning 17, and absolutely making no sense of him coming in there for absolutely no payoff whatsoever, and then having a bad relationship now with WWE where they don't even mention the guy. They see him as a quitter. So you have the good and the bad, but then you have the ugly, and that ugly happened this past weekend again for Knokx Pro Wrestling, who is affiliated with Rikishi, and they are under the WWE ID program. And what ensued was obviously the videos out there, and what happened was the wrestler that got hurt as soon as Roger Jackson came in, got hit with the beer can or soda can, and that just didn't. As soon as the camera was on, he thought that it was lights, camera, action, let's go. And Raja Jackson was not informed of it. He's an MMA fighter. You would think that there'd be some kind of dialogue beforehand, right? That this was going to happen. He was not okay with it. He was heated, obviously, as if you're not, part of the business and you don't know what's going on. You're going to be heated. I get it. Then it got resolved, and it seemed like that was it. It seemed like cooler heads prevailed. And then what happened was he would go take a seat, and then he would go back and interfere later on in the match for Psycho Stu's match. So what ended up happening was this was already premeditated. Beforehand, one of the wrestlers, AJ Manis, said, hey, make sure you get your receipt to that extent, which to me kind of also, just lit up and just started everything all over again. And then he was streaming this too on Kick, Raja Jackson, as well as his dad. And then he was already saying, hey, he's going to get his. He's going to, he obviously just premeditated. And then what happened was a slam, knocking Stu, the back of his head to the mat, basically unconscious, and then him receiving about 20 to 22 blows to the face, unprotected. And it was to the point where, what they were saying afterwards was that, he basically could have died. And then you get to the point of, who's at fault? Should there be criminal charges issued on Raja Jackson? What should be the fallout of this wrestling company? And just how would you, in fact, handle the situation, which was unfortunate, and it never needed to get to that point? Just your first impressions, because I know that you saw this the day after, and you were privy to the video, and you saw everything. What did you think with everything that's going on, with all these outsiders coming into the wrestling company and wanting to be part of the show, part of the magic, because it's in their veins, right? They want to be part of it. What did you think this does for the future of something like that from outsiders coming into pro wrestling?
It's not a great message being sent. I thought it was a disgrace, honestly, when I saw it. I was looking at it and I said, that's assault right then and there. And Raj should be arrested for what he did. And again, it goes back and forth that you saw, footage in the back in terms of what I saw was the actual incident that happened, the 20 to 22 unanswered punches. And then you see things backtrail in terms of what happened with Psycho Stu and hitting the beer can over his head, and then it festering over, and then him being told, hey, you need to get your receipt in. Him not really understanding that concept, I guess, of it. And listen, I've heard so many people talk about this, and in my opinion, is the mere fact that who's at fault with this? People want to blame promoters. People want to blame the talent, the roster. Answering your questions is, what does it say about other talent coming in or people on the outside coming in? Well, first and foremost, like always, everyone has to be on the same page. And so if anything's ever going to get done, there's no way something like this could happen, let's say in AEW or WWE. It would never happen. Promotions like that have to be smarter and have to be more aware of what's going on, because when you're bringing somebody who doesn't understand what's going on, doesn't understand it's a work or whatever the case might be, that everyone's in on it, and people take things personal, as opposed to Roger, who's a very emotional guy and took it very personally and got offended. And even after they shook hands and, Stu apologized, didn't really seem like he was still happy about it, because he still felt he was being embarrassed regardless and wasn't going to let go. And even when you looked at the live stream, you could see it festering. Even when he made the comment and you get your receipt, you could tell he was not 100% on.
Oh, it was already planned. I mean, that was just true to me. That was just justified what he was thinking. And that guy, AJ Mana, who went on a podcast a couple days later, kind of was like, washed his hands from it, and he's an idiot. And I think they said he lost his day job. I'm not sure if the day job was this or being affiliated with the company, but he lost his day job for it. I would assume it was his position here at the wrestling place. But to me, that triggered it. But again, though, seriously,
all he wants, man. There's one thing of educating somebody, and there's one thing about instigating somebody. He was instigating Jackson about it. There's no question about that. I don't care what Hall of Famer or anybody would say otherwise. And again, it's my opinion, but I think it was just wrong. He's at fault. People say, oh, he doesn't understand. He's a young dude. It doesn't matter. You're a grown adult, a grown human being. You're responsible for your own actions. If you went out of your way thinking, oh, well, nothing is going to be bad of me punching a guy 20 times in the face when he's unconscious. There's nothing bad. It's not my fault. You're wrong. The blood is on your hands, and it's your fault. So I blame Raj on the entire thing. It didn't help all the stuff that escalated to it. But at the end of the day, you're a grown adult. You're a grown-ass man. No questions asked. It's your fault. So
I mean, at the end of the day, too, yes, I would say the majority of the blame is to Raja because, hey, look, I mean, I don't care. And here's the thing that bothers me, too, about society is that they go, well, he's young. Dude, to me, once you're 18, I think you can make your own decisions and should be responsible for your own decisions. And 25, to me, whether he had a concussion or whatever, he's an MMA fighter. Just like boxers who have their fists or, their licensed weapons, right? You should know, hey, I'm taking this way too far. And I don't care if it's the heat of the moment. It should never get to that point.
No.
Listen, the company is at fault as well. I would think too, listen, that the wrestler that triggered it, AJ Mana, I think he is definitely at fault. And I get all these opinions. Some people who think that who kind of absolve Raja. I don't think they're thinking clearly. But I get, hey, listen, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I just don't think it's the right one. But, as far as criminal charges, what saddens me is that we're already way past, to me, the day where the police, and this is the California, Los Angeles police, right? I mean, are you surprised that there's no arrest made? This investigation where supposedly that the wrestling company has told the wrestlers not to cooperate with authorities. I don't care if they're not cooperating or not. I think with the video itself, every day that Raja is out there and talking is just an indictment on the legal system here, because he should be at least arrested right now and should be detained, because he should not be a free man right now. And luckily, Psycho Stu is recovering. They showed the picture of him in his hospital bed surrounded by, friends and family, and they started to GoFundMe. And yes, he's the victim. Listen, if you watch that, part of you was like, yeah, he should have got punched, but not to that extent. A receipt, I understand. A one punch or that slam should have been in.
Hey, one get his lickets in, one or two punches maybe, but after he got those 1-2 in and realized nobody was stopping it or nobody could do anything about it, he went for a free for all. So listen, if you want to tag somebody for real and punch him in the face, even if they're unconscious, because I don't think he knew he was unconscious at the time when he slammed them, but you could clearly tell in the replay that when Stu's head hit the mat, he was out. So he hits him 1 or 2 times, okay, but the viciousness that went into it constantly for about 20 punches in a row. Yeah. There's no excuse for that. That you can't say
the referee didn't do anything.
He doesn't know. No, he knows what he's doing.
Douglas Smalla, who was a wrestler that finally was able to get him off, obviously it was a struggle because he was just on adrenaline. That dude, Raja, he was on adrenaline, and nothing was stopping him except just the pure exhaustion from all the punches that he was throwing. Is the only thing that kept him, was able to pry him off of that was because of the exhaustion, probably. But kudos to finally somebody pulling him apart. And I mean, it was close to having a tragedy in the ring. And the fact that that's a WWE ID program, and obviously they parted ways and they have ended that association, which was obviously a no-brainer for them. It could have ended up in tragedy. And like I said, the very fact that, say what you want, say who's to blame or not, but the fact that Raja Jackson is still out there and he can still stream and he's still a free man is a joke. It's a disgrace. There's no way. And it says a lot about LA, and it says about the rules and what their situation is right now. Take the political out. It's a disgrace. Really shows you the state of things in LA and Los Angeles, in California, or wherever they're at in California. But it shows you the sad state of affairs that's going on there, that every single day, every hour, every minute, even when this podcast is released, that he's still going to be a free man. And that, to me, is a complete joke. But as far as the aspect, trendsetter, of the need to bring outsiders to add, I get why they do it for the publicity, to add more people for the novice fans that would say, hey, ooh, that celebrity's doing that, or that current person that's making headlines, oh, he's showing up in a WWE ring, in an AEW ring, in a TNA ring, so on. Yes, this gets the eyes glued to that you normally wouldn't get. But for these smaller companies that aren't like WWE, AEW, where maybe perhaps some things slip through the cracks, this obviously is going to be a no-no now to me for companies to do so in the future, bring outside names to appear. You have to be thorough. You have to at least have some structure in your company to do something like this, because obviously this company had absolutely no structure, and it's proven from what happened this past weekend.
Yeah, listen, in terms of that, there's always going to be the scenario where you have to be thorough. Is there going to be hesitation at this point right now? Yeah, there'll probably be hesitation, but I don't think it's going to stop it. But ultimately, if any promotion or any indie show is going to do a scenario similar to this where you bring somebody from the outside coming in, you don't want an incident like this to ever happen again, because it's just going to look bad on you. So, yeah, that might limit the opportunities, that might limit the urgency to do it, but I don't think it'll stop it, because ultimately any publicity, it's hard to say, because there's always that expression, right? Even bad publicity is good publicity, but not in this case at all, in my opinion. So, but regardless of the fact that it brings up the topic that we're talking about, like, should we limit now the number of people that we have outsiders coming in? I know it's been a popular thing on WWE programming too, where you're like, oh, you're an outsider, you're a part-timer, you don't belong here, you're not in this world. And it's kind of escalated to this on a smaller market in terms of the indie show. So, yeah, it'll be thrown. I don't think it'll stop it, though. But I guess initially there will be hesitation for it, though. But it's not going to stop it, because any promotion is going to want some publicity in some manner, in some way. And if people, and there's no doubt in my mind, people are going to use this to their advantage too, as horrible as the events that happen, and be like, you know what? Let's do this and make it more real, more authentic. Not that they weren't trying to do this in this scenario, but it got out of control. And again, it was the promoters or the management of that company just didn't do their job thoroughly. So yeah, I think it'll be restrictive now, but it's not going to stop it.
What about the fact that we know that WWE does this ID thing to get a fast track on these independent wrestlers that perhaps may have caught the eye of AEW, and it's a way to keep these talents away from AEW? You give them a contract, you kind of throw them a little bit of a bone, and you throw that carrot to these younger wrestlers that, hey, you have a WWE ID contract, you're affiliated with WWE, you have that logo. Is it beneficial to WWE to continue to have this program just for the mere fact that, hey, listen, there's going to be lawsuits. There's going to be lawsuits from most likely from Psycho Stu to Raja Jackson once he's healed up. There might be lawsuits from fans who've been traumatized. And there will be people that will do lawsuits. And when you have that WWE thing, some lawyer will be up to you, will come next to you and knock on your door and be like, hey, that WWE is affiliated with that. You can go sue them. Why not give it a try, right? So is it in WWE's benefit to continue this WWE ID program just to keep these guys away from Tony Khan and AEW? Because who's to say that they can control what these independent companies are doing that are affiliated with WWE? Can WWE come down and say, hey, listen, no more of this stuff, no more of these outsiders, you're going to keep your ring stuff in here? Can they tell these companies what to do? Would it be beneficial for WWE to continue this program with what happened here in order just to keep these wrestlers that they want, that they think are talented, away from AEW and Tony Khan?
My initial instinct is no, cut your losses where they are, in my opinion. I feel like this incident has just opened the door in terms of the topics you just talked about, where I don't know if WWE can control this. Now, you like to, say, you like to be more positive about it and say, oh, no, it was just one incident here. And, it's not fair to the other companies that, are trying to do it right or associate with WWE with the WID program, which initially, yeah, I mean, if that was the reason to do it, I don't know.
It's trendsetter. It was definitely one of the top reasons is to put AEW, just put another nail in that coffin. This was clearly a way to keep them away. A very smart way, by the way, to keep these guys away from AEW.
Yeah, but part of me also likes to think that, yeah, you're right, it was the main reason, but I like to think maybe it's more of a, you want to also look at the indie pool because of all the vast variety of promotions out there overseas that they were doing. So I think that was part of it. But you're right. It was more of just trying to stick it to AEW. But right now, if you're WWE in the scenario, I'd probably just cut my losses as much as I could and just kind of do away with the program right now for the time being. Could you always bring it back? Yeah, but right now it's like if you're WWE, you don't be caught in any legal ramifications for this, though. So I wouldn't do it personally. I think they should cut it off.
Now, I don't know how affiliated Rikishi was with this. I don't know if it's just a name or like he allows him to use his name or whether he runs it or he's somehow like, rolls up his sleeve and is really deep part of it. But again, too, here's WWE thinking, okay, maybe, hey, Rikishi's got control of this and it's just a name. And you would think, okay, I wouldn't have to worry about this school or this company, right? And then all of a sudden that's the first one that goes up in flames. And so
the way Rikishi's criticized WWE right now and hasn't been shy about it, I doubt that WWE would believe that, oh, Rikishi might be running this or is affiliated with this, so it should be good. It should be fine. I doubt that was in their mind.
Or it was just the last straw because of, okay, listen, we'll take your critique. Obviously, they don't like to be critiqued, especially when it's a Hall of Famer and someone who's really close to the bloodline, who's the father of, the Usos and stuff like that. Would you like that? Fine, I'll let you get away with it. But then this happens, we have to distance ourselves. But I think it's all beneficial for them to stop this ASAP and just say, hey, listen, it's something that failed and we shouldn't do it anymore. But I don't know if just the obsession or maybe just that drive to put AEW out of business is just maybe too beneficial for them that, hey, they'll take a lawsuit here and there. But obviously it's not a good way to get it started with this ID program too, because again, if you got that WWE logo and you were there, here's a chance to make some money now. Oh my God, I haven't been able to sleep ever since that day and it's all WWE's fault. Is it worth all that stuff? But again, and it sickens me. And listen, you might like the kid, you may know him or whatever, or you may take his side, but you cannot tell me that he does not deserve to be arrested or to be in custody right now. And every day that doesn't happen is a disgrace. It's a disgrace on the legal system. It's just a disgrace in general as a society because you're going to let people get away with that. That's absolute garbage. And we'll see what happens. There's a GoFundMe, and obviously the story will have more developments as obviously Psycho Stu gets better. And this is Army veteran with PTSD, I believe. And I think there's a whole story about him saying that, like, oh, this was his way to, kind of like, refocus his life and this part and everything like that. You open up the way it happened. You were like, oh, this guy's a jerk for doing that, right? But at the end of the day, look how quickly it turns because at the end of the day, Roger Jackson was just way out of line afterwards and stuff like that. I get you want to get your receipt. I get it. It happens. But you just don't go wail on the guy and almost kill the guy. That was attempted murder.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say on this, Jeff, is the fact that you'll hear people say Psycho Stu was a jerk for what he did.
Yeah.
It was unprofessional. He shouldn't have done that. Should have been more respectful. The excuses you hear about, Raja, he doesn't know anything about the business. He's not educated. The promoters. Ultimately, the main point I just want to make is that regardless of how people want to spin it and what direction you want to go, whether they have Raja's back or they don't, or whatever the case might be, I really don't care. My simple view on this is that you saw somebody assault somebody in the ring, and that's it. Case in point, doesn't matter. A grown adult assaulting somebody, regardless of what they did, you can't justify what he did. I'm sure a lot of people are saying things that kind of justify it, but they're pulling back, trying to be careful. But and ultimately, what I see is that they are trying to justify the actions of it. And I just don't agree with it. I think it's wrong. It's assault in the ring. It's assault on a human being, regardless whether the guy was being a jerk in the beginning. It doesn't matter because you are in control of your emotions. You're in control of your actions. And when you do something like that, you also should be held responsible for your actions, to your point, well, in terms of the whole legality of this whole situation. So that's all. That's my viewpoint on that too. What everybody says, whether they're a W Hall of Famer or been in the industry for God knows how long or have had experience, it doesn't matter. What was done there was wrong. It should have never happened, 100%. But when it did, people got to pay who's responsible for it.
No doubt about that. Trendsetter, we are heading into Clash in Paris on Sunday at 2 p.m., I believe. So this got me thrown off.
Gotta love that logo, man. Beautiful.
Love it. give us a shot. HSP Podcast, what a tag team that is. So make sure you hit that notification bell and make sure you are catching up to everything HSP Podcast, everything Jersey Wrecking Crew, and we will have you up to date with Clash in Paris this coming Sunday.
Have you liked the build for this card? Have you liked it?
Dude, I'm going to say this. WWE right now is, I would say, on cruise control. They are. I did not want to get to this because, again, we want to kind of the time, but Raw to me has been so. I'm not going to lie to you. I love the early starts when they go to other countries. I love it because with 3 p.m., 5 p.m., whatever, I'm down for that. But the last couple of Raw, it's just been so predictable. It's been the same thing. I know Roman Reigns gets the love that he deserves because he is just on another level of a superstar. He is just that great. He's just that amazing. My flowers to you, Tribal Chief. But it's just a watered down Roman Reigns. I love that Roman Reigns as the heel. I love that Roman Reigns as a champion. And the more the weeks go by and the more he comes in, I just appreciate more and I miss the Tribal Chief. I really do. And when you see what's going on in SmackDown with Solo Sikoa and the watered down MFTs, I mean, I'm happy that they're all got jobs. I love the wrestlers individually. I miss Tama Tonga. It sucks that he got injured. I want to see what happened with that. But this version right here, I mean, I don't know, dude. It's not clicking. It hasn't clicked to me since January 6th. And I think that's where they really dropped the ball for instant gratification because they had to make that show the best freaking Monday Night Raw ever. And let's kill the whole bloodline angle. Let's go. There's a way that they still could have, had Jay reach championship status and still have his brother relevant. I know he was hurt as well, too. And just the utter, to me, bad booking of Solo Sikoa. And then Trendsetter, you got me going here. So I'm going to have to go a little bit further. The fact, to me, the biggest disgrace out of everything, Trendsetter, is the fact that they have two of the most amazing female talents in the main roster, and they are MRIA. They got Stephanie McCare looking like an idiot backstage, wanting her title opportunity, and her not being able to get a single answer. For a woman of that caliber to be pushed around by, or let's just be dicked around by Adam Pearce, saying, "Oh, I'll let you know next week." Oh, it's not a priority. I got to figure things out. The women's championship is not a priority, right? And they have her back there just twiddling her thumbs on main event. They have her on the tour. They have her wrestling, but they don't have her on the main show. Why? Do we need another 20-minute promo from Seth freaking Rollins on a faction to me that just to me hit nothing, And then Julia, who luckily Trendsetter for SummerSlam weekend, we got to see her wrestle.
Yeah.
Against Zelina Vega. But then where has she been? Is it the English barrier? Is it they don't believe in her? They got to put her with Kiana James? I don't get it. I am thoroughly baffled by that. I think that's what to me has got me down on WWE right now. And so as long it took me to get to your question, Trendsetter, Clash in Paris, the way WWE is going to tell you, you're getting John Cena in one of his final appearances. You're getting Roman Reigns. You're going to get the Paris crowd to chant and sing those amazing songs they do with their amazing audience. So we're feeding them stuff. You're getting Becky Lynch, but yet to me, you're not getting. What are you really getting except to me the names? You know what I mean? Like to me, it's a very on paper you see the names here, but it's not to me a fulfilling PLE. If you get what I mean, do I need to explain it? Do you understand what I mean? It's not a fulfilling PLE. In the aspect of, yes, I got the names, but to me, it's more fluff than anything.
No, man, I wasn't stopping you because you're on a roll. That's how I feel right at the same time, too. Since WrestleMania,
I don't have to sit there and watch it that day. I don't. I can just do my,
invested interest to do it because right now they're not presenting anything different. It's stale. You're right. Could be predictable, but at the same time, it's just like it's just filling in time. And you'd think the mere fact that Raw is no longer 3 hours, that it would be more exciting, but it just drags on as if it was a 3-hour show. They're like, oh my God, when are we going to get to the point here? That's what I feel like watching Raw. And SmackDown has kind of gone to that way with me as well, because it's literally limited to promo segments that go super long. Then you'll have like a tag match as the main event, or a match that hasn't been built up as your main event too, to fill it in. And listen, are they good matches? Yeah, they're good matches. But if I'm not invested in it, it's just a match for the sake of filling in time. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, you can't hit a home run every single time. I'm not asking for a home run. I'm not asking you even brought the point to me too. It's like, it's hard to create a storyline for every single match. I get that. Of course. But it's like, give me something to sink my teeth into. If you're force feeding me Seth freaking Rollins and his regime, and then on SmackDown, you're giving me this watered down version of the Bloodline, and they're supposed to be the main instigators, and then everyone else is kind of just peeping around because they're focusing on the world title. They really haven't given a lot, as much as you're looking at Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes. They're not really giving a lot to that story to build it in terms of, have we forgotten that Cody won the title? Have we forgotten that John Cena is no longer the champion? That hasn't been an investment in the WWE Championship match in terms of that. And then more important, you brought it up 100%. I was going to bring it up too, but you beat me to it. The fact that Julia and Stephanie McCare are not being used at all is, to me, the biggest baffle in my mind. Somebody put on social media too, the difference of Julia and Stephanie McCare on NXT and how Shawn Michaels ran it. Think about what Triple H is doing on the main roster. It's like back to the old days when you'd see these guys on NXT, male or female or tag teams, whatever, have so much hype coming in, and then they're on the main roster, and you see initial hype in the beginning, and then they spew out for whatever reason. Why? Naomi is gone. I'm sorry. I do love Rhea Ripley. People might think I don't, but her as a human being, I love her. From a character standpoint, I don't like what they're doing with Rhea Ripley. I don't like what they're doing with Io Sky. It's ridiculous that I'm continually seeing this over and over again. I need to see them hug. I respect you. I respect you. I'm tired of that. Put Stephanie in that spot. You want to shock the whole. I want to see Stephanie McCare in that spot. Give her the title. Have her go in a triple threat match with those two, or in some type of tournament leading into that main event. Have her go up against her Ripley right up in there. Have her go against Io Sky. I want Stephanie.
It wouldn't be shocking, because if Stephanie had been on TV already, you would have bought her winning the championship. Now, if she wins it all of a sudden in just a match, people are gonna be like, "Oh, like okay,"
yeah, that's what I meant.
And then right? They should be like, "Okay, so she won it. Yes, will it legitimize her being great? Yeah, but you want to kind of get those baby steps, or you want to get those wins before, so you're like, okay, this will to me solidify, not just getting that one win, and then like, what do you have? She won the women's championship. To me, you just need to build it, and she hasn't been built. Another thing that bothers me too is like, hey, listen, I thought Rey Fenix and Andrade were going to be it after SummerSlam, and they've been MIA. I've seen them on the house shows here on the European trip, but where have they been? Right? It's just a lot of stuff, man, that just to me is like, okay, it's just we don't need to have a 20-minute. It looks kind of like Vince is doing the booking because it's a 20-minute promo to open, 20 minutes. And it's the same thing, man. And like, what frustrates me about Seth is I love Seth. I told you he was MVP last year of the whole year for everything he did. But just and when he won that SummerSlam, what a moment, right? But then it's just this. To me, they haven't gelled the group. I think Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins, just to me, it's just, I don't know what it is, but I'm so used to Roman. I'm used to Brock. Seth and Paul just to me is like, it doesn't work. I don't think
real quick, Jeff. Seth doesn't need a mouthpiece.
No,
that's why I feel it doesn't work with Paul Heyman.
And then the thing too is like, at first it didn't bother me, but the outfits bother me now. The outfits bother me like crazy too, because like you see Braun and Bronson in the black suits or whatever, and then you have Seth in this flowery getup with the big shoes and everything like that. I'm like, okay, I'm waiting. I'm already to the point where I want Braun Breaker to split and turn on Seth. I'm like so not into this faction. And it's the same stuff. Paul Heyman.
Talk about losing momentum too. Jey Uso, to me, as much as a lot of people are doing the whole yeet thing, it's like, honestly, he's getting lost in the shuffle now because the whole story is with CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Jey is kind of like the odd man out in the whole scenario.
And do you see Seth losing it all this weekend?
Nope.
And to the point where like, oh yeah, Punk's got a shot. Well, I don't think Punk has a shot. LA Knight, they shown you that, hey, it's everything but pulling the trigger on LA Knight. And Jey Uso, hey, listen, he was a champion just recently, and I don't see him winning anytime soon. I don't know, it's Seth.
That rocket strapped on his back is gone, in my opinion.
He's there. Like he reached that level, but he's going to get to that championship level. Not anytime soon. So I mean, it's funny to me. Sometimes you have a plethora of talent. Like when Gunther comes back, you got another person there. Like some of these guys are not seeing the championship, and it just to me, I just think Raw's been on cruise control. I think there's a point where you get complacent, and I think there's a point where like, hey, we're selling out. We could have me and you main event WrestleMania, and they'll still sell out because it's WWE on it. You know what I mean? That's where they've gotten to the point where like they were talking about Clash in Paris, or they were talking about how it's not going to sell out or it's going to do, and all of a sudden now they're at 30,000 and they're going to be another successful PLE. WrestlePalooza, where they're charging like 6,000 for the first 3 row, for the third row, and now that's a sellout. So they just continue to sell out and sell out and sell out. I'm not upset that they're making money. Kudos to them, but they're pricing out. Not only are they pricing out the fans, right? The loyal fans want to take their kids and stuff like that, but they're on a it's all on the need. How much you need it. It's the supply and demand. Right now, the supply is the demand is crazy, so they're going to charge whatever they want to. But it's just, to me, I can tell you where everything happened to me. It was January 6th. January 6th was the date that will live in infamy as far as why WWE is in the situation it is. And we kind of are like, whoa, but wait a minute, they're selling out. Oh, they're the ratings. Oh, that's true. But eventually that stuff is going to, and listen, I'm not going to lie. I bleed WWE red and white, whatever like that. I'm pro WWE, but there's a point where like, hey, listen, enough is enough, man. Like, you're on
TV, but you can't justify what's going on here. And to your point too, like what I hate the fact is when you talked about the ticket sales at Clash of Paris and then for WrestlePalooza, the ridiculous absurd pricing. And then you would think, let's say they didn't sell out, then there could be justification there that, hey, maybe something's wrong here. Something's not working. But when that happens now, and now they're packed at capacity, it tells them, hey, whatever we're doing, initially a lot of people don't like it, but look at the end result. Look at the ticket pricing. Look at the seating. People are still paying for it. Now, if people weren't paying those prices and the arena was getting empty and they had to blacktop certain things, then something would have to be addressed. But it's not going to be addressed anytime soon because they're still going to sell out those tickets for the ridiculous prices that they're charging the fans, and the fans will pay it no matter what.
And obviously we will have, because there could be more matches announced, but obviously stick with our social media, and we will have the breakdown and the post show this weekend as well. So we'll have our predictions on our at High Spot Podcast on our Instagram account and on X. But also too, like you talk about the momentum that WWE is in, although we don't sound like we're happy about it. Hey, listen, they're making money. They're a company. They have to, the bottom dollar is to make as much freaking money as possible for the shareholders and for the company and TKO. This is a landmine. And with UFC signing their deal with Paramount, WWE has signed their deal as trendsetter. And that's what we're going to talk about too, because WrestlePalooza, actually Clash in Paris, will be the last PLE on Peacock.
Yep.
No more of the Peacock at all. So that is it. They have that's it. It's over. That relationship is over. The library is still to be decided, but you can still catch all that stuff there. But the PLEs moved to ESPN Trendsetter in a monster deal that they signed, and obviously business is good. And that's why we're getting WrestlePalooza. And you talk about something that to me has kind of died down in the anticipation for Clash in Paris, is because WrestlePalooza is coming up in September, and this is going to be the first PLE on it's going to be an added PLE on ESPN. This is going to be the beginning of the partnership between ESPN, who's now getting all the PLEs going forward. So now ESPN has their own app and their own platform, which you will have to pay $30 per month if you want to see the WPLEs. The times of only paying for pay-per-views, Trendsetter at $6.99, at $9.99, at $11.99 per month, which is a sweet deal for the last few years, is coming to an end, because now, if you have cable, there's a way still to see these for free. But if you're going to depend on the apps, if you're going to depend on other streaming services, ESPN is going to charge you $30 to catch the WWE PLEs. And then the library will go up for sale as well. Then you have maybe TNA possibly getting their own TV deal as well with the help of WWE in that partnership. And then the library, wherever that goes, Trendsetter, WWE is making money hand over fist. Now, if you think about it, before, there's only one place to catch WWE. You'd go there. You either go on the WWE Network. That was the easiest. That was the best way. Then you go on Peacock. That's the way I'm going to see my PLEs. That's fine. But now to adapt, Trendsetter. And I know the WWE fans, I know the wrestling fans will find it. But you talk about I'm not have to go to ESPN to do what? Then I have to go to the Peacock to do what? I can't cancel Peacock. Why? Because they still have the library. ESPN might want to buy that library down the road. All I can tell you is it's going to cost you money. $30 a month, Trendsetter. Obviously, we have no choice because this is what we cover. But it is a bittersweet day as far as being somebody that, remember, you have to pay $60 for pay-per-view. Remember all that stuff? And we were like, wait a minute, that's crazy. I can only maybe get 2 a month, 2 for the year. And now we've been living nice, Trendsetter, for 10 years without having to pay a crazy amounts for PLEs. But now that's changing. And, of course, Nick Khan was like, wait a minute, what are we doing here? And now it goes to streaming services on ESPN and their new bad boy app. What do you think, Trendsetter?
Is it fun while it lasted? That's what I say. It was fun while it lasted in terms of what we were able to get away with. Is it a good deal? Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about WWE, it's an amazing deal. Of course it is for them. For the fan, we were just talking about it too when it came to ticket prices and how ticket prices have been since WrestleMania 40. After that, and the huge tidal wave of momentum and success they had on that PLE of WrestleMania to where it's gone through the whole year, through 41, going to 42, and where we are now, it doesn't surprise me because it's all about making money, right? And if you're going to make money, you're going to sell it to the highest bidder. And if you're WWE or anything, you're going to now not keep everything in one spot. You're going to give it to the highest bidder, the person who wants it more. So you could have, for example, ESPN with the PLEs. NXT's now could have its PLEs just on the Peacock network.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Library could go to YouTube. I heard rumors of that as well. And who knows? So it's going to force the fan now to spread out their wealth. If they're not spreading out enough going to these live events or going to these PLEs in person, they're not going to have to go to get maybe 2, 3, 4 streaming platforms to watch their WWE content. And as much as we hate it, from a business standpoint, it's the smartest move you can ever make because now you're going to force people to spend their money. It's not going to be all located in one spot. That doesn't make sense financially. If you're going to pay $10 subscription or $15 or $20 for all of that, then that company's losing money. So I hate it as a fan. From a business standpoint, it's amazing to look at. It's crazy to see that from where this company was, and you and I talked about it when we were talking about the whole WrestleMania 40 scenario and the atmosphere and the feeling there, where it felt like, man, this thing is going to skyrocket more, especially with the merger with TKO and then the UFC. You're thinking, man, this thing is going to different ventures that you've never seen it before. Like, again, us recalling what buying pay-per-views was like, how archaic is that now, right? In terms of what it is now. So it is exciting to see this evolution of where the business and the company is going, of where not just WWE, but other things like you just mentioned, TNA could get a new deal with their partnership with WWE. Yeah. You've seen AEW and what they've done in streaming platforms with Max. Again, it's just a open door of things and possibilities, but it's crazy to see that we're a part of it as a fan standpoint, looking at this happen in real time. I shake my head. I'm like, man, I can't believe this. Like, so much money to be made still so much money to be made if you're on the WWE side.
And honestly, it's impressive. We talked about a guy, and you mentioned it too. I think even since I think it was a SummerSlam, we went to Vegas. We went to that one, and that was Roman and Cena, and then Brock comes out, and that was the point where I remember that clearly because that was when Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole were going to debut. I think at All Out in Chicago. I believe it was around that time that all that thing was happening. And then they bring back Brock. But then you talk about Nick Khan, and then he sat down with Ariel Helwani. I think that's when you mentioned, man, I'm really impressed by this guy. And you wish they had a book on Nick Khan because his rise is very impressive. It's a success story that, man, you're like, ooh, I would love to see the blueprint, or I would love to see how he did this, because obviously they showed, I think of him, I think he was, he did something at WrestleMania 9, wasn't
security.
he? Like,
he was like security
or something like that.
Yeah.
And then also he was on like Wheel of Fortune too. And his rise, very impressive. I mean, if there's anybody that you want to follow, or anybody that you would love to pick their brain right now, is a guy like Nick Khan. And to me, he is the asset for that company. He is a deal maker, and he knows these different people. and he's a mover and a shaker, and he's like gets things done, and it's very impressive for what he's doing. And I can't blame him. At the end of the day, I can't blame them, because he's trying to make the most money for his company, and that's what he's going to do.
And it was in the result too. Look what he's done. Look at the business moves he's made that you never think that he would ever go in that route, and they did.
And then again, when the news came out, it was like 6 a.m. and you're like, what? You know, you're like, this is what we're gonna, you know, it's those under the radar stuff that he's doing too, with the whole ESPN thing, which we weren't expecting at all. And again, it just shows you that this guy knows people, and he has the right connections, and he is a great talker, and he's a great negotiator.
And real quick, talking about people, I remember at WrestleMania 39, where we're like literally front row. Thank you, E-Rock, for that one. We love you for that.
E-Rock.
We saw Nick Khan
in Cody Rhodes fashion. E-Rock.
We did it better than Cody, but to see Nick in person, we didn't say hello to him, but we saw him there talking to people, and I was thinking, I don't know what you were thinking. I was like, man, I wonder what kind of deals he's doing right now. Because again, that's networking. That's old school. Hey, what's going on? Let's talk a little bit. Like just talking to these famous people from sports and Hollywood, and you're like, man, that's what you strive for. I feel, in terms of being able to be thinking outside the box, is what Nick has done so far with the company.
And I don't want to bring up, heaven forbid I bring up his name, but Vince McMahon, who recently celebrated his 80th birthday, saw that in Nick Khan. And then also give credit is due, when people were laughing at Vince McMahon for starting a network, didn't know how that was going to go. I remember CM Punk famously saying, but wait a minute, if everything's $9.99, where are you getting the money from the pay-per-views for the boys, right? For the money.
Payouts, for the payouts.
But whatever it was, whatever happened with that, the payouts and everything, Vince McMahon was the first person that had the vision to think that everything was going to go on streaming. Obviously, maybe not to this extent, but he saw in the future. He was maybe like 10 years behind, or 10 years ahead, actually 10 years ahead. But look where everything is going now. So he had that vision, and then of course the wherewithal, the know-how to get a guy like Nick Khan into the company is just impressive. Say what you want to say about the man and the new stuff that's coming out about with Vince and everything like that. Put that aside. The businessman of Vince McMahon, pretty freaking impressive as well. But Nick Khan is just wheeling and dealing. WrestlePalooza will happen in Indianapolis on September the 20th. Brock Lesnar and John Cena is the rumored the match and stuff like that. What do you think of that, Trendsetter?
I mean, that's what we're expecting. How are you going to start off WrestlePalooza? An ECW term that was used. Now they're using WrestlePalooza for WWE PLE with Brock Lesnar and John Cena. Listen, I'm not going to be someone to say there'll be plenty of time once it does become official for us to break it down. But to see these guys at this stage in the career, you just hope it's okay. But from just a billing standpoint, John Cena, Brock Lesnar, that's money right there. Regardless of what the performance might be in the ring, that's money, because again, they have a history. There's a story there. I don't know if John's wanted to do this to the tail end of his career to work with Brock. I know he respects Brock a lot, but it's still money, and that's what it's about: making money, drawing people to want to see it, and for that to possibly headline it, can't argue with it.
And what about them going up against All Out? It's going to be WrestlePalooza going up against All Out, because we saw that Forbidden Door went up against Heatwave that weekend, and then also too, there is this thing now where WWE is putting these shows to combat AEW, because, like we were saying before, it is WWE's goal to put AEW out and about before that next television deal happens. Do I think it's right? I know, because I love competition. I love it where everything, where people can go back and forth. I think it makes it fresh. Obviously, when you see, like, for example, AEW guys that are coming out to WWE, it gets fresh, and you get excited. It's refreshing, whatever. And same thing when they go over there. It's the same thing. It's that cycle and stuff like that, which I'm not too fond of anyone going out of business. But then also, just real quick, Heatwave and Forbidden Door. What were you guys watching? Were you watching Forbidden Door, and then did you put Heatwave to the side, or did you put Heatwave? Was that your go-to, and then you put Forbidden Door, and we're like, I'll catch up with that. So there's so many things, Trendsetter, that are going on right now as far as competition-wise. And will WWE be successful and try to stop AEW? And that's going to be something that we're going to find out as the year comes to a close Will they be able to do that? Will this counter programming by WWE hinder AEW to the point where they become something that other companies might want to, whether they get extended or whether there's a new deal someplace else, will they be a valuable commodity, by the end of the year? I still think so. Again, it's going to be interesting to see if WWE is successful with all of this counter programming.
Well, listen, it goes without question. What you're talking about is that when I saw this, I was always thinking, if you're WWE, why pay attention to this? Your leaps and bounds. This is not a slight on AEW, but your leaps and bounds from where AEW wants to go. So why bother? Why draw attention to it? Why make it a thing? And the supposed war between the two companies, which I don't think really exists in my opinion at all. But listen, WWE's made it perfectly clear by doing these things purposely. From my standpoint, if we want to talk about the world of business, one of two things will happen out of this. And I'm not, and I don't advocate for either one in terms of the ways in which you approach it, but it is what it is. That's the art of war in business, right? Either they pigeonhole AEW to a point where they put them in a corner and say, listen, either do business with us or we're going to put you out of business. Those two options there. I would love it if there was a partnership. I don't think there's going to be a partnership because of how Tony feels and what he said about, what his thoughts are on WWE and vice versa, and in the comments of, taking shots at each other. But if there's a possibility, I think that's what, if I was WWE, I would go for it. Trying to put them in a position where their hands are behind, they have nowhere to go. Their hands are tied, and you got to make a deal with us. If you don't, then we're going to put you out of business. Don't want it. I don't think if AEW ever goes out of business, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon. But if that's the direction they're going in to hurt them by splitting the audience, by having these shows alongside their shows to compete with them, it hurts AEW, regardless of financial, regardless of how, what the end result's going to be in terms of the timetable it's going to happen. But that's what's happening right now. I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to force them to say either you work with us or you don't. And if they don't, and WWE somehow works a way of actually putting them out of business, I don't think it benefits anybody, because you want more places for people to work. I want more partnerships to work around. But again, people are going to be like, but you're going to have WWE owning everything. That's going to be the point. WWE wants to own everything. And, they're going to be the machine they've always been.
Or Trendsetter, how about this? There's another option that you didn't think about where I just thought of right now. What if WWE just prices you out so much that you're like, enough of this, I'm going to go check out the other thing, where I can go and take my 4 kids and go watch wrestling, still see some very good talent do their gymnastics and watch them for an affordable price. I mean, you might price that casual fan out enough that they're going to go and they're going to send WWE, you're going to price out a loyal fan that's been a loyal fan to you for years. You're going to price me out. I'm going to check out that other competition. And I could see some point somewhere where fans going to be fed up. Fans going to say, enough. I can't go to WrestleMania. I can't take a family to Florida, Vegas. There's a package, Trendsetter, for WrestleMania 2 nights, $72,000. Maybe Super Bowl tickets, whatever like that. But for pro wrestling, $72,000. That's insane. Think of what 10 years ago a gold package would be for wrestling, like $12,000 or something like that. $10,000, $72,000. Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous. That's like, I don't even know what percentage markup that is over the 10 years.
New age we live in, man. But reality.
Will you price out the fan? Will it anger fans enough that they will go to the other side? I could see that. I could see a little bit of that too, where you get the angry WWE fan that WWE loses them and they go to AEW. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that to your loyal WWE fans. With all the back and forth that they do, like we're talking about all the movement in wrestling, which is good. What about Chris Jericho coming back to WWE? What about that stuff that started swirling? He was with the learning tree. I know the last time we saw him, he was angry and he left into obscurity. It wasn't seen for the last few months. And then rumors started swirling that, well, not even rumors. There was rumors that maybe he would want to go to WWE. Then it was the company believes that he'll be coming back by the Rumble in Saudi Arabia. Like Tony Khan on a media call praised Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho liking a post about him possibly going back to WWE or there being interest or something like that. What is the reality? What is the, I guess, what is the demand, or do you think, for Chris Jericho to go back to WWE? Because he spent a long time now in AEW. He's built that company. He's a huge part of it. And now for him to go back to WWE, is it one final run in a Hall of Fame and a couple matches there, a couple of dream matches for Chris Jericho on a maybe part-time basis? Is there incentive for Jericho to go back to WWE? Because I thought he could have his way in AEW, and I thought Tony Khan would pay him whatever. Has Tony Khan, do you think, decided to, hey, listen, I've had former WWE guys here. I've paid through the nose, and they've done nothing. Now, Chris Jericho, you've done more than what most of anyone has ever done for this company. You've put us on the map. But now, as you're in your 50s, is Tony Khan willing to bite the bullet and pay another mega contract, like another 4-year deal worth what, maybe an $8 million? Do you think, or do you think Tony's now like, hey, listen, I'm getting Chris Jericho on the very tail end now, and I'm not going to pay through the nose for Chris. Is it okay for him to have his one final run in WWE? Where do you think the mindset is for Tony Khan, and where do you think demand is for Jericho back in WWE?
Wow, that's a toss-up question right there in terms of trying to get into the mindset of Tony Khan. I don't know if I could do that. And the reason why I say that is not a slight on Tony, though, but if I were to say that Tony would have the business mindset to say, Jericho's at the tail end of his career, I paid him a ridiculous amount of money, I don't see a profit or return on my investment if I were to pay him, let's say, for another 2 or 3 years to work with the company and extend it. It could be a scenario where Tony wants just to go in a different direction. Because and the reason why I say that is not because of how he views Chris Jericho. I mean, look what he did for Sting. Sting was well past his prime. I love Sting, well past his prime, and he bent over backwards for Sting to put him in these scenarios. I mean, do you really think he's worth the money he was being paid to wrestle at that stage of his career where he could barely move, but still showed you glimpses of the old Sting? Same thing with Jericho, right? So I don't know if this is more of a decision of what Tony Khan wants to do business-wise. I think, honestly, this is a decision of what Jericho wants to do business-wise. And what I mean by that is that he left WWE initially because he was kind of burnt out. He had not burnt out, but he was kind of a little upset of what happened with him in the match with Kevin Owens. The fact that he wanted to either be last because the original scenario was that he was going to win the Universal title. They switched that to Goldberg. He had no problem with it. He wanted to start off WrestleMania, and they came out third. And he felt that was a disrespect of all the work that him and Kevin had done for the Festival of Friendship. That was a huge success on Raw. They had to fight for Triple H to get that done the way he wanted to get done. And the mere fact that when the match was over, he was pitted third, and also Vince didn't like the match. I think Jericho was like, all right, there's nothing more I could do here. If I continue with this company, they're going to basically make me a gatekeeper. It's a word that gets used a lot nowadays, right? So he decided to go on to something different. He did the Kenny match, did things in New Japan, and then this whole thing with AEW started. So I think it was just a refreshing thing for Jericho to do. Now it's at the point where I think he's done everything he can do in AEW. You could see if you could try to, put him with 2 young guys, which they try to do with the learning tree, try to boost them up. But I don't think it really worked. I think the crowd, the AEW crowd, was kind of tired of Jericho. You could definitely see when they were chanting, "Please retire." It was an endearing thing.
I think there's more. I think there's more backstage stuff with Jericho than with Sting, and that's why I think the crowd soured on Jericho. The online rumors and all that stuff that happened, I think a lot of people believed it. A lot of people kind of thought, a lot of people kind of got off because there was a point, Trent, so let's be honest, me and you thought that Chris Jericho could do no wrong. We thought he was this chameleon. We thought he was the pain maker, all this stuff, the way he would change and he would adapt. And then you got this version of the learning tree, Chris Jericho, and we were like, what the, are we looking at here, right? Mm-hmm. Because there was a point we idolized Chris Jericho because this was the guy that, listen, he knew how to pick from here, pick from there, how to adapt in the business. He knew what people wanted. And then, obviously, he contributed so much for that company. You got the Jericho Appreciation Society, which was, to me, their peak. And then you got the learning tree, which was way down here. And then you saw the watered down Jericho, which I never thought you would, but it just seemed like as far as creatively, I think he hit a wall. plus the outside stuff surrounding Chris Jericho, all the allegations and all that stuff to me, I think that's when the fans really soured on Jericho because it was a love fest. They were singing the man's song, for God's sakes. It was probably one of the best things ever that you would see. And then all of a sudden, and just like that adoration for Chris Jericho was gone in AEW.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it's more of a business aspect of where Jericho feels he can, end his career. I don't know if he plans on wrestling anytime soon. I'm pretty sure the window is closed there. But in previous podcasts, they've mentioned and they've asked him the question, would he be willing to go back to WWE? And he said, yeah, I would be willing to go back there if there was an offer or something like that coming towards the tail end. So in the early stages, he never really said that. He always mentioned how loyal he was to AEW and how he wanted to help this company grow. In essence, compete with WWE and somehow take over, which I don't know what Kool-Aid he was drinking when he made that statement. But again, you have to when you're working for the company. And now I think he's just more open to the fact of, listen, I'm at the tail end of my career. I mean, he's got his music to fall back on. Not that's something to fall back on, but that's one of his other passions. And I just think it just makes more sense because now if he were to go back to WWE, which I think he is, and I think there is interest by WWE and Jericho, there are some matches you could set up there if you want. We're not going to talk about that until it becomes closer into the reality. But ultimately, at the same time, too, Jericho has not worked under this regime when Triple H is running everything. So that might pique interest to him as well. Because hey, I've dealt with the machine when Vince was running it. Now it seems like everything is not as scripted as it once was, and there is some freedom for creativity there. And that might intrigue him as well to work with a roster of talent that he has not worked with before for a very long time. So it could be something refreshing. So ultimately, I think it's a swan song in a scenario where I think we're at the tail end of his career. You could have said that maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And I think right now that would be just huge for people to hear break the walls down and him come back and to finish his career with the company that kind of set him to that stage.
Oh, Trendsetter, he can't come back. You think his first appearance he comes back with Break the Walls Down? It's not Judas.
No, I think it should be Judas, but I told you I think there'll be a version where you're gonna hear that sound, Break the Walls Down. I would love to hear him come back to Judas, but a type of a remix here. Like remember, Vince was hell bent on saying that's your song till you die. Vince is not there anymore. So now can there be a scenario we hear Break the Walls Down in a Judas combination or just Judas in general? I don't know. But regardless of the fact that happens, like again, we're still ways from that happening to becoming reality. I think it's a smart move with Jericho. It'd be a smart move with WWE. Listen, I'm not expecting him to have 5-star matches or him to be what he once was 20 years ago. But this version of Chris Jericho, let's put away the learning tree for that fiasco. I still think has a lot more to offer at this last stage of his career. Why not end it with WWE? It makes sense to me.
It makes sense. There is more for Jericho to do in WWE now because, like you said, the good thing about territories or the good thing about having other places to go is that if you got stale in one place, you go to the other one, go do your thing, and then come back here and you be refreshed. And that's what I think Chris Jericho is banking on, literally and figuratively, that he's going to get a fresh start in WWE. But will it happen? Will at the end of the day Chris Jericho go back to the company, or will he be able to resolve something with Tony Khan? Now, Tony Khan could just be saying all these nice things. Jericho is kind of like Chris will always be able to work together and all that stuff because he said nice things about nice people and things haven't worked out contractually. But things could work out and then he could be back with AEW. But right now, the more sense would be for him to go finish out in WWE, but we'll see what happens there. But that's well into 2026, and if it were to happen, a lot of people say it's going to be the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia. Trent said we were able to get everything in, and I'm still as happy as I am to reunite with you, Trendsetter. Just the mere fact that I'm a year older, and the fact also too that now we're winding down Labor Day. We wish everybody happy Labor Day from Give a Shot Network and HSP Podcast. We hope you enjoy it. We hope you guys are safe and you enjoy it with your families as we get back to the fall weather. I know football's coming up and everyone's enjoying that. Everyone can't wait to see what their teams do. All the winter sports are going to come, but you know what? I am going to miss the summer as I always do. August is always tough for me, Trendsetter, because again, like I said, it's just 1 year older and the summer is winding down. Anyways, Trendsetter though, but we got everything in. So again, we are HSP Podcast. We're the Jersey Wrecking Crew. I'm Jeff Martin alongside the Trendsetter. You find us all our social media at High Spot Podcast. Make sure you check out our Clash in Paris post show and make sure for all predictions and the latest on Clash in Paris, make sure you follow us on all our social media at High Spot Podcast. But make sure too, you also like and subscribe here. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single episode of HSP. And if you can't watch us, listen to us on all major podcast platforms. Trendsetter, close it like you close it all out in style.
Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of the HSP Podcast. We greatly appreciate it. For Jeff Marr and I'm the Trendsetter. Like Jeff said, we are the Jersey Wrecking Crew. Thank you so much for joining us here. We can't wait. So much to talk about as the road, believe it or not, before you know it, Jeff, we're going to be talking about SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, going into the new year, and then WrestleMania.
No, don't say that. Don't say that. Let's just enjoy the last couple of months we got of this year.
I love that theme song, that new theme song, WrestleMania. A lot better than the Travis Scott crap that we heard before. Guys, thank you so much. We appreciate you. We wouldn't be anything without you because we do this for one reason and one reason only, Jeff. And what's that?
Oh, we did it for you.
The
crew.
Crew.